My name is Christian Alshon, and today we are going to be setting up a pickleball paddle. I apologize that I'm in my car. I'm currently on the road for a professional pickleball tournament. I'm in Tucson, Arizona, so bear with me on that, and let's get into it. If you haven't seen it yet, I created a how I set my paddle a little while back, and the reason I'm making another one today is because I changed how I set my paddle. Mostly I changed the lead placement and I changed how I do my grip. So those are the two things we're going to be getting into. You can go watch that last video if you want to know how I used to do it, but today we're going to be focusing on how I set my paddle right now. So the things you need to set your paddle are the same as before, mostly just lead, grips, and electrical tape. You can also use tungsten tape. I don't use that right now just because I had a large supply of lead, so I'm still using lead. Maybe I'll transfer to the tungsten tape later on, but I have this thin lead. It's 1/4 times 197 inches, 5 millimeters. So it's 5 millimeters thick, quarter inch lead. Okay, this is the lead I use, and honestly, it would be better if it was half an inch, because what I do is I double it, so I'm basically using half an inch when I put it down, but I have the thin one, so I need to do it like this. So you need that, you need your electrical tape, you need some scissors, and then what I do, you can see I'm sweating right now, it's so hot in Arizona, and I'm facing into the sun for good lighting, but that doesn't matter. So what I do is always keep one piece of lead. That's the perfect weight for one side. I weighed it in the last one, and I always keep it the same so I don't reweigh it. It's about 0.2 ounces of lead, and I put 0.2 ounces on both sides. So what I get my paddle at is I get it at 8 ounces, and I put about 0.5 ounces, 0.5 to 0.6 ounces of lead and the grip. So that's something to keep in mind. It's about 0.4, maybe a little bit more ounces of lead. So the reason I'm making this video, and the main difference from the last video to what I was doing to now, is the placement of the lead. I used to place the lead on the sides right here. I used to place it starting at the bottom, going all the way up here. And the reason I did that is because when you put the lead closer to the throat of the paddle, there's more, sorry, I'm sweating a lot. Whew. What happens when you put lead on the throat is there's more power, all right? So you get more power and you get kind of more stability. Whereas if you put lead on the top, it creates more spin. And so I used to use it from here to here, but I changed to putting it on all 4 corners, all right? And you'll see a lot of people do this. And what that kind of does is that balances the lead of the paddle. It doesn't really increase the spin too much. It doesn't really increase like the stability power here too much. It kind of just all around makes the paddle heavier, which when the paddle is heavier, it creates more power, because you know, mass times force equals acceleration. So when you have more mass, you're gonna have more acceleration with the ball. I might be getting that wrong. It might be mass times acceleration equals force, but something like that. More mass, more power.
I'm baking like a toasted cheeser. It's so hot here.
Sweat break. So I don't recommend doing this exactly the way I do, because you should buy 1/2 inch lead. I can put links below into the proper lead. I'll put this one, and then I'll also put the 1/2 inch lead. So you take this, you cut it to this length, and I use this length just because it's the weight that I want. And then what you do is you cut it here, you cut it right here, and then you cut it again. So that means you basically cut this down into 4 parts, because you want it to be centralized on the edges as much as possible. In order to do that, you want this to be much smaller. I have some of those right here. So this is basically 1/4 of this, all right? And then what I do is I put two of them on here, okay? And the first time I did this, so I just set this one up without having a reference yesterday, and all you want to do is you just look at the corner and you try and get it on the corner. And it's pretty simple. You kind of just like, all right, there's the corner. All right, there's the corner. Room for error is perfectly fine. You're not really gonna notice if it's an inch lower or an inch higher. It might make a difference, but you're not gonna notice. Once I have the lead ready, what I do is I use the old paddle, or I use my most recent paddle, so that there's no change, so that there's no change every time I set up a paddle. Is I look at it, and you see I'm basically just eyeballing it, and then I'm putting the lead down. Also, side note is you're not supposed to touch lead, so I always make sure to wash my hands after I set my paddle. If you can wear gloves, that's fine. If you use tungsten tape, that's also fine. All great options. I might get into tungsten tape, but currently I'm not doing that. Please don't roast me in the comments again. And then what I do here, very important, is you switch sides of the paddle, but you keep using the same reference. Because if you switch both, then if one was wrong, then one's going to continue to be wrong. But if you use the same side, it will be the same. Right there, you can get a little shot of it. You see how I'm kind of just putting it right there. Okie dokie. I mean, this might help a little bit, but I then get the wrapper and I push down on it so that I'm not pushing down with my hand and getting the lead on it. Anyway, so you keep doing this for the top two sides as well. I'll do that real quick. Okay, boom. So once you get all four corners with lead, you can see it. You see that? This should make the paddle just very balanced. And the reason I do that is because this paddle is already very balanced. And the reason I'm changing this is since it's so balanced, I don't need the lead on the bottom to get more power. It's already got a lot of power and stability. So to do this, it makes it just more balanced overall, and it's going to decrease, you know, the dead spots that any paddle has on the edges. Because whatever paddle you have and you hit it like right here, you know, it's going to be it's going to be a little bit more dead than if you hit it in the center. And that's just because the way paddles are made. So doing this, I think, helps minimize the dead spots of any paddle. I wonder if we had to have a counter for how many times I've done that, if we'll include it. Probably at like 5 or 6 right now. So next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put electrical tape. I like to use red electrical tape because my edge guard is red, and just keeping the red makes it look very cool. This is pretty easy. You kind of just put it down near the throat. You hold it here, and then you pull. And another good reason to use electrical tape is since lead is, you know, a little toxic, you're not supposed to touch it. So doing this will get rid of it. But even if you use tungsten tape, even if I did use that, I would use electrical tape just because I think it looks a little sloppy to have the lead showing. So to keep it nice and clean, we'll do that. Take your scissors and boom, you cut it. Anyway, boom, perfect. Look at that. So if you're wondering how to lead your paddle, that's exactly how you do it. If you're trying to figure out which paddle to get, this is the Paddletek Bantam TKO-CX in the 12.7 millimeter. It's my favorite paddle. I'm a little biased, but if you're gonna get a paddle, I think this is the best paddle on the market that you could get, and I believe that from the bottom of my heart, but I am biased, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. It comes in a 14.3 millimeter, which is a little bit thicker, and you'll have more control. But if you like the power and if you can handle the power, get the 12.7. This is the CX, which means the handle is extended. The handle is 5.75 inches, and it also comes in a TKO-C, which is a 5.25 inch handle, which is a little bit shorter. I like the longer handle because then I could put my left hand on there very easily, and That's why we made this paddle. I'll put a link in the bio. Definitely check this one out. I think you should buy it. Now, next, very important, how I grip my paddle. Let's get into it, because I do some weird stuff with my grip, and I actually changed my grip a lot over the last several months, and I think it's pretty unique the way I do my grip. I don't think anybody else does it like this, and I'm not saying you should do this, but I'll show you how I grip my paddle. Let's go. Alrighty, so my phone / camera did overheat, but luckily I have another one. Where I was is when you grip the paddle the first time, it has these little overlays like this, and I don't like that because then I am, you know, confined to only holding it on one side. So what I do, which, you know, I don't think anybody else does this, and I wish I didn't do this, but I did it once and it felt so good. And since then, I have been forced to do it over and over again. So I'll take a second grip and I will start it. So basically my whole plan here, you start it the same way, but my whole plan here is, look at this. You see where this line is? My whole plan is with this grip is to be as close to that line as possible without, you know, going over it, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get rid of the overlay and the overlap to make this grip feel the same on both sides. And this is so that when I'm spinning my paddle, which I like to do, it doesn't matter which side I end on, I can hold it on both sides. So you can see how I'm following the line very closely. If you can see this, like I'm on that line perfectly. So it used to take me like 30 seconds to grip a paddle. Now it takes me like 5 minutes. Maybe not actually, but definitely takes more time than it should. Okay, so if you didn't know how to grip a paddle before, this is as complicated as you could do it. I'm not sure if there's a more complicated way. Okay, and then I take my little Paddletek, whatever this is, and I put it back over the grip. So I go there and boom, just like that. It's very smooth. If I go like here, I feel very little bumps, all right? I just feel the seams of the grip, all right? Doing that means that I can hold it on this side, or I can flip it around, but they both feel good. I can close my eyes and I know that whatever I'm doing, it feels good. Yeah, that's how I set my paddle. Thank you guys for bearing with me. I hope it was an enjoyable video. And if you're new to the channel, I give away one free paddle, one of these paddles, every single month to a lucky subscriber. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel. Check that out. If you're interested in subscribing to a newsletter, I'll put the link in that below. Send out some cool stuff every now and then. Thanks for watching. See you guys.